Okay guys, in this tutorial video, we're going to cover how to create a basic motion path that will also scale a movie clip and change the color of a movie clip based on the width of the motion guide and the gradient color of the motion guide. So in this finished project, I'll go ahead and show you what we've got. We've got this motion guide. If I turn the visibility on, you can barely see it. So let's go ahead and turn off that background image. And you can see that it goes from skinny, gets thicker in the middle, and then gets skinny again. So we want our words to scale from small, get bigger here, and then get smaller again. You can barely see the gradient I did here. It's pure black on the outside edges and then a charcoal gray on the center. And that's because I wanted to create something subtle for my particular project. But in this tutorial video, I'll use garish colors so that you can see what's working. And you just want to make sure you choose a gradient color that fits your design for your project. Okay, so if we break this down layer by layer, we have the motion guide, and I'll go ahead and turn everything else off that doesn't matter. And then we have this Genius text that gets bigger and lighter because my gradient changed to a lighter color in the middle. And then we have another word, and then we have another word. Each one of these, when I click in the classic Tween, is animating so that it changes the color along the path and scales along the path. So let's go ahead and see how to do this. I will go and open this new project, and I will turn all this stuff off. And we'll delete all these different layers. And okay. So I first need to create all my layers, and I know I'm going to do 4 layers. And this one I'm going to call Genius for the Genius text, and then Physicist. I don't know if I spelled that right. Too much pressure during this tutorial. Okay, Pacifist. And the last one will be the guide. Okay, so I will go ahead and turn on that background layer just so we can really see it, and I'll change this to like 70% so we can see it a lot better. Now I've already created the text. It's really small text with the font and the color I like, and it's already in a movie clip. So make sure you create your text, highlight it, go up to modify, choose movie clip, and then probably pick a better name than text 1, text 2, text 3. This is just me being lazy. And so now I have to always remember that text 1 is Genius, text 2 is Physicist, etc. When I drag this on here, you'll see that this is really small text, and you want it to be small because as it goes along the motion guide, it's going to get bigger based on the width of the motion guide. And that's it's super exaggerated. So even a tiny little bit of change in width in the motion guide will make your text huge. So I started out with a really small font. This also depends on how big your stage is. So if you have a smaller or bigger stage than I did, then you'll have a different font size. So you're just going to have to tweak those things as you work through this. All right. So right now I accidentally just put that on the guide layer, and I shouldn't have. So this is a good idea to always lock your layers so that you work one at a time, or just get used to placing in the right place. Now I want to actually put each of these texts at different spots in time so they animate in a staggered animation. But what you can do is you can just click on the first layer. So I'll click on the first frame of the Genius layer, drag Genius in, click on the first frame of the Physicist, grab Physicist and put it in, and then click on the first frame of Pacifist and drag that in. Okay, so once you've done that, you can click once and then click and drag so that this word doesn't appear until like frame 70, and you can choose whatever frame you want. So click and then click and drag again to move Physicist down so it doesn't appear until after Genius moves through. And then for Pacifist, you can click and drag and do that as well. Now let's say for this one, you didn't want to put it on the frame first and you wanted to set up where you wanted it to go in the first step. What you have to do is go to where you want it to place it, right click and choose Insert Blank Keyframe, and that'll create a new keyframe, and that when you're on that keyframe, you can click and drag, and that's actually going to make it appear on that blank keyframe. Okay, so now we need to create our guide layer. I'll go ahead and lock and turn off the words for now. And I'm going to grab my stroke or my line tool, go to properties, and I've chosen a gradient for my stroke because it's going to change the color along the gradient. So make sure in the color panel you choose stroke color and then choose whatever gradient makes sense for your project. Again, I'm doing garish colors just so you can see it. Now you want a stroke size that's going to give you a little bit of width to play with. So make sure it's not 1 or something less than 1. And you're going to make sure it's outside of the stages, so we have a place that it can start off the stage, come in, and then leave off the stage. So with that layer selected, I'll go ahead and just drag and draw my line. And it's going to go from kind of an orangish yellow to a light green to a red as it moves through. I also want it to get bigger, so I'm going to change the width of my guide. To do this, I'm going to come over here to this width tool, and hovering over that object, I'll click right in the middle and drag, click and drag, and it got way skinnier. So click and drag up, down, whatever. Try it both ways, undo if it doesn't work. If you go this big, your text is going to be super massive because it's super, super exaggerated. So I'm probably going to go about that big. And then if you want it to get big all the way through, you can, and it's going to start getting big over here. Or with this width tool, you can come in here and you can make it skinnier at any point in time that you want, just so that it's not always that big. Okay, so I think that's going to do a good job for me. So I'll go ahead and lock this, and I need to actually turn this into a guide. It already says it's a guide, but it's not. It's just a regular layer. So we will right click and choose guide. You can't see that, but it is on there on that right click menu. And now this is a guide layer. It's under construction. That's why you see this little hammer. And we need to put layers under that guide so it knows that those layers should be a part of its guide and they should follow it. So I'm going to click the Genius and move it under guide, and you'll see it indents a little bit. And once you get that first layer in there, it's going to be indented and the hammer goes away, and this goes to a true guide icon, which means it is working and it is active. So we'll go ahead and put the physicist and then the pacifist so that they all kind of indent underneath that guide. Okay, so as we move through this, we can turn on those words and you'll see that nothing actually happens. Well, that's because we don't have any animation. So I'll go ahead and unlock Genius, click on that first frame, go to Insert and choose Classic Tween. It looks broken, and it is broken because it has all these little dashed dots, and that's because it only has one keyframe and it needs 2 keyframes so it knows what point A should look like and point B should look like. So for point A, you're going to grab your Move tool, and you'll see this little transform control point in the center of your text, and you want to move that until it snaps to the very start of the guide, and it'll kind of magnetically snap to it because Animate CC assumes that's where you're wanting it to go. So once it snaps there, that's your first keyframe point. Then you're going to choose your next keyframe point by clicking on whatever frame you want it to end at. So I want mine to end before the next word actually comes in. So I'll click the frame right before it, but I'm still on the Genius layer. Once I've clicked that frame, I'll go scoot over so we can see this a little bit. Once I've clicked that frame, I'm going to hit F6 or right click and choose Insert Keyframe, or go to Insert Timeline and Keyframe to create a second keyframe. Again, copy the word Genius, and now I can move that second word over to the very end, and again, you want to snap that center control point right to the end of that motion guide. Now this part of the tween has turned into a solid arrow, which means it is actually functioning. So it is moving along that motion path, but it's not scaling and it's not changing color. In order to make that happen, we'll click on this motion tween or this classic tween, go to the properties panel and choose color along the path. And what that does, if we turn off the guide, now you can see instead of being gray, it goes from a yellowish color to a bluish green to a pink. So it's not exactly the color of the gradient, but it is changing color based on that motion path. The next thing we want to do is click on that classic tween, and we want to scale it along the path. So this is what I told you, that scale gets kind of crazy for some reason. It goes from small, and because the path starts getting wider, and then it just boom explodes into a really, really wide word and then goes back down. So it's following that motion path's width. So let's see that again. Okay, so if that's a little too much for you, and it is a little too much for me, I'm going to go ahead and click that motion guide again, but probably with my width tool. And I'm going to go to that original point and drag one of the control handles, and it's not, there you go. There we go. So that's a much skinnier, and so it's still going to scale, but it's a little more subtle. Okay, so once we have that done, I'm going to right click and remove this broken classic tween because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to show you this one more time so that you can do this on your own. Okay, so once again, I'm going to unlock the physicist layer, grab my move tool, snap that physicist point to the very start of my motion guide, go to Insert, Create Classic Tween, click the point in time I want it to end at, right-click and choose Insert Keyframe. That'll create a second version that I can now move to the end point. And I can turn the visibility of Genius off so I can get this right. Test that out and see if it's moving. Yay, it's moving. So I'll click inside that classic tween, color along the path, scale along the path, test it out, and it's working again. Last but not least, we'll clean this up by right-clicking and choose Remove Classic Tween. So doing that to the third word, you should be good to go. And now you know how to create a motion guide, a basic motion guide, but one that actually recolors and scales the object that's moving along the guide. Other motion guides are really cool. You can create one that's really twisty and then have your movie clip, which might be like a paper airplane, follow along that guide. Check out YouTube for some great tutorial videos about motion guides in Animate CC or Flash.